Hello, dear friend. It's my pleasure once more to welcome you to a popular discussion program, Philosophy of Life, designed to educate, enlighten, and entertain you. Today, we shall continue our discourse on Sex and Destiny Part 4, and probably conclude the episode. Some people have called and have asked some questions, and some of the questions you ask will be treated today. But I'm not going to read out the questions. I'm going to continue the lecture, which will, however, accommodate the questions that you have asked. Let me begin by citing some great philosophers. Number one, Nietzsche. It was he who said, and I quote, "Through the abuse of the sex force, man is more diseased than any animal." End of quote. In the words of Socrates, I quote, "When sex drive leaves you, it is like being freed from the bondage of madman." In the words of Aristotle, I quote, "The chief good is thought by the multitude to be sensory pleasure. Indeed, men are of the opinion that without bodily pleasures, life is not worth living. But bodily pleasures are selfish, and the true philosopher abstains from them." End of quote. Well, this quotation, or these quotations rather, would not be complete without incorporating Aristotle. It was he who intoxes, I quote, "Desire is accompanied by pain." End of quote. These quotations are so necessary because they are tilting towards the nature of man in satisfying his desires, which most of man's desire that are not in tune with the level of spiritual advancement are animalistic. That brings to mind to the common saying that there is no pleasure without pain. Pain is as much as part of human existence, like pleasure too. But by nature, man loves pleasure and abhors pain, like the Epicurean approach to life: pursuance of pleasure and abhorrence of pain. Well, in line with man's nature in pursuing pain, in pursuing pleasure, man has gotten himself into a serious emotional quagmire. And that's why majority people think of themselves in different ways and manners that suit their nature of pleasure. That's why you hear some people say, "Man, life without limitless sense of pleasure isn't worth living." But that's not correct. Your life must be programmed to suit the standard of morality. So life without pleasure, to some people, isn't worth living. In this light, people bring more pain to themselves. People in chasing pleasure have brought pain to themselves. It was Sigmund Freud who says, and I quote, "The pleasure principle prevails over the reality principle to the detriment of the whole organism." End of quote. I take that quotation again. The pleasure principle prevails over the reality principle to the detriment of the whole organism. End of quote. What does it mean? Material existence has a paradoxical nature. It is, like I said, in the nature of man to begin to seek, search, and look for where pleasure is. And whatever it can take man to do that, man does not give up. But I have continued to say that in line with man's nature in searching for pleasure, he gets himself into so many problems. For instance, like I said last week during this episode, I think that was in part 3, I did mention that in line with Esotomases, which literally is out of the body experience. So many people who get involved with that get into the astral plane, sometimes for pleasure, sometimes for research, sometimes for other things. But then that is also mystical in nature. And man, of course, you know, is an embodiment of mystic. Man is an embodiment of mysticism. There's no doubt about that. Now, in line with that Esotomases adventure, out of the body adventure, man gets himself involved in certain things. His space, his higher body may be inverse. Such inversion can lead to rape. And when one is raped in the astral world, beings within that level of existence are interested in hacking into one's psychic space. When they hack into your psychic space and exchange interactions with you, that kind of interaction is sexual interaction. When you are assaulted, when the body of man, that higher body in this context now, is inverse, such inversion can lead to disorientation of the physical unit. The physical unit is an extension of the higher unit of human existence. And let me say this, before these forces, cosmic elements that are within the parallel world, now, or parallel universe, or parallel universes, whichever that you may deem necessary and fit, before they can get into you in that manner, there must be an attraction. And that's why so many of us do not know that the moles on our bodies are indeed electromagnetic signal seal. They are signal seals that send information about each and every one of us to the extent that it can electromagnetically attract certain negative and positive forces within the orbit of human system. And that orbit of human system can also be an external orbit of human system. This is very important, that every human being, every person listening to me this moment should be able to know. If you like yourself, you look at yourself, you see some people have moles on their nose, some have on their feet, different parts of the body. The mole can be found in different parts of the moles on our bodies are signaling. They are like torchlights in the midst of darkness. When you point the torch light, you see there will be light, and that light, whoever is there will begin to look at that direction. That is what the moles on our bodies do. That is their function. They are electromagnetic. They attract certain beings that are beyond us. What I'm talking about is within the domain of esoteric science and esoteric and noetic sciences. And we cannot, in this physical system of reality, dismiss these things because they do not conform with our creed. And sometimes creed limits us. And I want to say this at this point, that every religion that is guided by divine reality will appreciate the fact that there's only one way you can limit man. One of the ways you can limit man is to constrain him with and by your creed. And when man is constrained from getting further research and getting involved in other higher knowledge, you limit him and you destroy him. Because if existing theories, according to the philosopher, if the existing theories are not questioned, research would automatically come to an end. So what am I trying to say? When this body of man is in vast, the past, the present, and the future of the astral beings can interact with man. Such can lead to advancements in the physical unit. It can also as well bring about the downfall of the earth man. Now, on the other hand, when two souls interact during illicit sexual affair, it is on record. It is very expedient for anyone getting involved to understand this, that the super soul or the superior soul, by virtue of its reincarnational nature, steals from the lower soul and empties the lower soul's account. Every human being has a soul. And you may begin to wonder, what is this man talking about? How can a superior soul steal from the lower soul? Well, if you think you have no soul, then you are not existing. Because as humans, we know we are made up of body, soul, and spirit. So we cannot dismiss the function of the soul in human body. And if you ask me, what is the soul? I will respond in line with Soren Kierkegaard's response. If you define me, you limit me. End of quote. Sorry. In the words of Ralph Emerson, the philosophy of 6,000 years has not searched the chambers and magazine of the soul. I take that again, please. In the words of Ralph Emerson, I quote, the philosophy of 6,000 years has not searched the chambers and magazines of the soul. However, for novelists, a great philosopher again, he says, and I quote, the seat of the soul is there where the inner world and the outer world meet. Take note. The seat of the soul is there where the inner world and the outer world meet, where they overlap. It is in every point of the overlap, unquote. What does that mean? The point I'm trying to make here is that there are advanced souls and there are lower souls. Souls are graded according to levels of reincarnation. And some of us who dismiss the concept of reincarnation, I would devote my time to tell you that there is something called reincarnation and that people reincarnate. And reincarnation does not in any way destroy the function of salvation. That is what some of us don't know. Some say, so if people reincarnate, why is there salvation? People don't even understand the proper meaning of salvation. But that is not a point of discussion at this point. The point I'm trying to make is that at every moment a spiritual soul is interacting, having a sexual contact with a lower soul, that spiritual soul empties the account of the lower soul. So how do you know when a soul is advanced and when a soul is not advanced? I wouldn't want to say superior and inferior. Every soul is superior. But the point, therefore, is when an advanced soul is involved in sexual relationship with a lower soul, it takes certain things from the lower soul. And this interaction is taking place from time to time, where at the meeting point, which novelists regards as the inner world and the outer world, where the soul, the soul meets, which is regarded as the seat of the soul. However, the point therefore is that at the level of interaction between the two souls, the higher soul constantly withdraws and empties the account of the lower soul. The higher soul does that. The higher soul can as well introduce hardship, difficulty, ill luck. It depends on what the higher soul is carrying. The lower soul may have also be covered by so many things. The lower soul may be covered by so many things. But at the point of sexual ecstasy, when that energy, that link is exposed for the soul to take something, it enters into your record immediately and begin to take certain things. It can also be corrected. I'm coming to that aspect now because it may interest you to know that that is also possible. To correct it is absolutely possible. But it can also be corrected. It can be taken through sex. It can be corrected through sex. But it's a very... somebody may begin to think, how could sex be used to correct? Mystery abound. Do not... It is good to be born like a child, but it is not good to die like a child. Mysteries are in this world. Even so many religions are aware, religious leaders are aware of certain things. But because of fear of saying the truth, they can't say certain things. They can't say certain things. So because the scripture says they know not, neither will they understand. Therefore they shall die like men. Even in the Bhagavad Gita, it is there. Knowledge in the Bible is there. Quran says, ask those who know if you want to know. So the meaning that knowledge is very, very important. Nobody should neglect it. Anyone who neglects knowledge neglects God. If you define me, you limit me. Take note. So if you have an account and your account is being emptied, how can we refill your account? It's a discussion for another day. However, I want to tell you that what I'm saying was taught by Christ in a very high metaphoric manner in the book of Mark, chapter 4, verse 25. The Christ says, and I quote, "Whoever has will be given more. Whoever does not have, even what they have will be taken from them." Listen to that. Whoever has will be given more. If you have, you will be given more. Whoever does not have, they will be taken from them. Even the little, the only one who doesn't have, the little he has will be taken away from him and will be given to somebody who, the person who has. What does that mean? It simply shows that an advanced soul takes from the lower soul. And at any time he's taken from you, you may be taking the pleasure. You may be enjoying yourself with the pleasure. But you may not know that you have emptied your account and thereby derailing from the path of reality. You may not know about that. So what the point I'm making here is that man has gone astray in trying to think that he has everything, whereas he has nothing in reality. All right. I want to emphasize here that sex can as well generate cosmic positive energy for interstellar or cosmic interaction. At the peak of sexual ecstasy, where energy is exchanged, the electromagnetic energy of the human consciousness generates a communication signal, a high-level communication signal to interstellar beings that are interested in the activities of mankind in this sphere of existence. What I am trying to say is there are certain things that we may not understand immediately until we begin to experience them. And experience is a good teacher, but ultimately not the best teacher. But I want to say here that at the peak of orgasm, when two souls that are so tied in sexual affair begin to interact with each other emotionally, at the peak of ecstasy, interstellar communication signal is sent out. And such interstellar communication signal can enable the extraterrestrial intelligent beings to, number one, correct the previous existence of an individual, or number two, penetrate into the karmic cycle of an individual and make necessary adjustments. In making these adjustments, these higher advanced beings, interstellar extraterrestrial intelligences, enter into the karmic cycle. What they do is sometimes they try to make adjustments for the individual, emptying the individual's karmic record. It empties the individual's karmic record. And the individual's past can be forgotten. And at that point, the individual, because you have already sent out the information through having interaction, sexual interaction with an advanced soul, that advanced soul, that its nature of reincarnational cycle is far advanced, enables the signal that has been sent in line with the reincarnational order, penetrating into your own orbit at the peak of that ecstasy. That signal is sent out and the communication is received. Your previous activities are wiped out. Now your present, the person's present life can as well be adjusted. And at that point, the reincarnation, the soul that would now, if that person is also a lower soul, for instance, if he's a lower soul and he wants to come back to the planet Earth, what happens at that point is that he is therefore given a better chance. He is therefore given a better chance to make a better decision in his journey to the physical system of reality. What I am saying is not what can be argued because of certain religious affiliations and associations, and what an earthly priest residing in one the temple or whatever I would say. I'm not against that. I'm not against it, but I'm telling you what is happening to individuals from time to time that they do not know. And when you understand this, you'll be guided. You'll be completely guided, because your past can be adjusted. Your present can also be adjusted. Your future can also be adjusted at the meeting point and parting point of destiny. So your previous can be adjusted, your present can be adjusted, and your future can be adjusted in as much as the signal has been sent. Activities that will revolve within you. That's at that point, you have saved yourself, even through sex. I'm telling you. So somebody will say, how can somebody save himself through sex? Thereby you getting involved with an advanced soul. With an advanced soul. You be the soul that you are getting involved with takes so many things that are contrary to your existence out of your orbit. And when those things are out, you become refreshed in that dimension. And you are launched into this system at a better person. These things are hardly said, and they can hardly be received by mortals who have constrained themselves by certain creed and who have refused to advance in line with dynamics of knowledge. because knowledge shall increase. And so if we think it is not necessary to acquire this kind of knowledge, you destroy your existence. 100 years ago, knowledge is dynamic. About 100 years ago, if our modern scientists, 200, 100, or 150 years ago, nobody would have even thought that they would go to the moon. So at that point, every truth begins as a blasphemy. Even Christianity that is being preached today on daily basis started as blasphemy. Islam, all over, they started as blasphemy. Watch all the masters that brought religion into this planet world, how they were persecuted. But today, the Christ that was persecuted by many years back, his teachings and philosophies have formed the basis of good living in the material system of existence, even in the other parallel world. So what I'm saying is that one should guide himself. I'm not encouraging any kind of illicit sex. It is not good for you to get involved, whether that of advanced soul or a lower soul. It is good to abstain. The essence of this is to prepare you for a better and future life. And if you have gotten yourself entangled, there is need for you to regenerate yourself, to be good, and associate yourself with those that can help grow your spiritual life, which is very important. With that said, I want to thank you for watching, and follow me by next week when I shall introduce a new topic: religion versus spirituality, the missing link. This topic is very important, and as you join me, you will learn more. Thank you, and God bless you.